Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I have a wonderful and cozy sancocho for you. Sancocho is a stew typically made with animal products, lots of corn. It's from the Dominican and Caribbean, but there are different variations all over Latin America. Some staples of sancocho include corn, plantains, yuca, although mine does not have yuca because I could not get my hands on some. Typically some sort of animal product, and instead of using beef, which is sometimes used, it depends really on which area of the world you're talking about, we're going to be using mushrooms here. I use a combination of button mushrooms and also oyster mushrooms because they have that sort of longer texture to resemble meat. The flakiness of the actual mushroom to the ridges of the coils of the mushroom resemble meat-like texture, so we're gonna put that into our sancocho. Everything will be made in the slow cooker. The slow cooker series has been really wonderful for me because it saves me time, and hopefully wonderful for you because it saves you time. So let's get to this amazing recipe. The ingredients for this stew are lengthy, but it is a delicious stew with some staples for all stews, such as our aromatics, but also some regional and specific favorites, especially according to the location that the stew is coming from. I think the most famous version of this stew is from the Dominican Republic. If you're from the Dominican Republic, let me know in the comments what you think of this variation and how you make it at home. However, we are making it vegan, so it's not completely traditional, and mine has some spin-off using Mexican ingredients because they are the ones I am most familiar with because my parents are from Mexico and I am first generation here in the States. So we will start our soup off with aromatics that include onions, garlic, green onion, because I thought, why the hell not? I had some really nice green onion. You don't have to include it, but it is really nice to have those green onions in there. The flavor is much more aromatic and it creates a beautiful broth, especially since we're using in that slow cooker where you can use water and the vegetables themselves will make the broth for the soup. We're gonna use Roma tomatoes, oyster mushrooms, and button mushrooms like I mentioned in my introduction. Then we have a variety of spices. I'm going to be using cumin, oregano, nutritional yeast for umami, which is a very popular plant-based and vegan ingredient, in addition to salt and pepper. I am going to be including my homemade veggie bouillon seasoning. It's the best. I have already previously made a video on how to make this recipe prior to this video, and it's one of my staples at home. It does take a little bit of work, but it'll save you lots of money. You will be less wasteful in your kitchen, and you will have fresh vegetables that you can include into your soups and stews year round. You will have a liquid version of veggie broth or the sort of veggie bouillon powder, which is basically dehydrated vegetables ground up into a powder. Moreover, we're going to be adding potatoes and plantains to our stew. Plantains are traditional to the Caribbean, and I think more people should try them because they are extravagant. They're related to typical bananas, but they are, in my opinion, I think they're starchier, but they're a truer form of banana. The bananas that we now commercially eat are more manufactured to our taste. They're sugarier, sweeter, I guess is the better word to use. If you do have access to yuca is also a root vegetable. I highly recommend including it, but this is simply not at my disposal this week, so I have excluded it, but this is a very traditional sancocho ingredient. Lastly, we're going to include lime juice, anything else that we want to do to flavor the stew as we go. Because I choose to add the water halfway through the cooking process, it really doesn't make a difference because I need to taste test and adjust my stew as I go. But regardless, definitely make sure to try your stew at the very end to make sure that all of the ingredients in the flavor profile is to your liking. Because I have a determination to get everything into my slow cooker, which was too small maybe for all of my ingredients, I decided to do this in two phases. The first phase was to cook all of the vegetables, and then the second was to add water afterwards, or veggie broth, to ensure that it was indeed a stew. This way, all of your vegetables cook, and you still get the brothy, delicious nature of a stew. Just be careful not to break your slow cooker. So my entire stew did not fit in my slow cooker because The slow cooker's not big enough. What are you gonna do? I wanted to make a really big portion that would last me the whole week and feed my husband and I. So the way I am going to do it, I'm gonna jam all of the vegetables in the slow cooker and cook that for about 5 to 6 hours. Really doesn't matter. But then the remaining time, I'm gonna add lots of water or veggie broth to have it be a proper stew with lots of liquid. That way we get the slurpiness of the stew, but also the vegetables are totally cooked. If you make this in a casserole slow cooker, it'll actually be easier. So if you have one of those, I will leave one linked in the description regardless. That will make your life so much easier, but you can definitely do this my way if you have a normal slow cooker with the same dimensions that are sort of universally given. Once your slow cooker has been cooking the vegetables for about 3 to 4 hours, I like to add water up until it hits the very edge of your slow cooker. That way the stew will really have some nice flavors and the vegetables will cook with a decent amount of liquid. If you have a much bigger slow cooker, you do not have to worry about this. Make sure to season everything to your taste using enough veggie broth, salt, and seasonings. You can add more of the additional seasonings that I included to your liking. I like to add a decent amount of salt because my soups always taste better with some good flavor. Close it up and let it cook for the remainder of the time. It should be at a low simmer for about the remainder of the cooking period, which can be anywhere between 3 to 4 hours or 6 hours. Once your stew is ready to go, serve it up hot, just as is, with lots of corn pieces, lots of mushrooms, and lots of that veggie broth to ensure that it really is a delicious stew, just as is. I don't add anything to it except a little bit of cilantro. I do recommend adding some hot sauce if you enjoy this flavor, or some lime juice. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video to its entirety. It means a ton to me. I've been making recipes forever. So if you guys want a specific recipe that I make or want me to feature a specific cuisine or a specific recipe for you that's very nostalgic, let me know in the comments below. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, be sure to do so at this name. I post every single day, either recipes, fitness shorts, or PhD related content. Nowadays, it's really just the former two. I love to work out. I'm an athlete by nature, and I also really do truly believe in the power of healthy nutrition to allow you to live your best life that is healthy and sustainable. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to this channel, follow me on Instagram, and let me know in the comments what you think of this video. See you next time.